Well, let's speak now to David Patrikarakos, who is a journalist and author of Nuclear Iran, The Birth of an Atomic State. Thanks very much indeed for being with us on the NewsHour today. So it looks like fresh construction is underway at one of Iran's nuclear sites. How will that be received by the international community?
Well, look, I mean, it obviously not going to be received hugely well. Now, the thing is, we have sort of put this in the context of the sort of collapse of the nuclear deal. So, Trump obviously withdrew the United States from it in 2018. It sort of limped on a bit, but Iran has said it reserves the right to restart activities given the sort of reimposition of sanctions, etc. So, I mean, I would say it's more of a message here. It's Iran saying we can start again. Let's get back to the table. Let's start having some more negotiations, because Iran very much needs a deal. It's in big financial problems and it needs a deal. And I think this is all very much geared towards the incoming Biden administration on both sides.
Well, let's talk a little about that, because Joe Biden has said that he will lift sanctions on Iran if it complies with the 2015 nuclear deal. What's Iran's position on this?
Well, I mean, again, Iran it signed the nuclear deal. It very much wants sanctions to be lifted. So if Joe Biden is saying that, that if it goes back to the sort of 2015 status quo, it will lift sanctions, I think that's a very good deal for Iran, and it probably would be very wise to take it.
And obviously this US-Iran relationship is quite a key one. How do you see it playing out with a new US president in charge?
Well, as you say, so look, the nuclear deal was with actually Iran and the P5+1, which is the Security Council powers in Germany. But the fact is, the real power here, it was the P5+, but it's America that counts. And as you rightly point out, this is a central relationship in international relations. The US and Iran didn't have diplomatic relations for over 30 years after the 1980 hostage crisis, where an Iranian militia group took American diplomats hostage for 444 days. We need, the world needs this sort of relationship to get back on track. If not, I don't think they're going to be allies, but at least let's resolve this nuclear issue. Because right now, this is a big weeping sore in international relations. You have to deal with Iran. Whether or not you like it, you have to deal. It's a country of 80 million people. It controls the Straits of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil passes. It has, a population rich in human capital, and it's a huge energy supplier. So you have to deal with Iran. I think Joe Biden understands this. I think it's going to be very tough because, before Israel and the Gulf states were de facto sort of aligned in terms of their position on Iran, now they're reverting. So, they're going to make it clear that they do not want any sort of possibility that Iran might backslide to nuclear weapons capability. They'd be absolutely right in that. Iran, has signed the NPT. It's repeatedly declared that it doesn't want weapons. So that has to be sort of ensured that doesn't occur. But I think this is going to be one of Biden's, biggest and most immediate foreign policy concerns. And I think people on both sides understand this, and they're getting ready for what Biden is going to do. And both of them are staking their claim here for future negotiation.
But do you think it's possible to go back to this existing deal, given that President Trump tied it to Iran's good behavior, if you like?
Well, it's an interesting question, because in one sense, President Trump, tied it that, but, come January, there will be no more President Trump. If Trump, withdrew the United States unilaterally from the JCPOA, Biden could take them back in, and then theoretically, we're back on. The issue is, given, the point of the nuclear deal was that Obama deliberately ring-fenced nuclear issue. He didn't put on the table Iran's ballistic missile program. He didn't put on the table its regional behavior. He didn't put on the table its sponsorship of terrorism. So, that's the issue. And those things have all increased since 2015. And as I say, Biden is going to be under severe pressure from the Gulf monarchies in Israel not to go back to the JCPOA status quo. Iran is in a weaker position now, I'd say, than 2015. Perhaps he can use this as leverage. Perhaps he can get more on the table from Iran. We're going to have to see. I think if Biden can give Iran a deal that they can sell to their own people without losing face, they'll take it, because they need the sanctions relief badly.
OK, David Patrikarakos, good to talk to you. Thank you.